Hi, I'm Johnny. I'm a global artist ambassador for FENIX360, and I'm blessed to be joined today by the model DAISI Jo. Hi, Daisy. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Great to see you. Thanks for being with
You
me.
too.
You know,
Thank you.
Daisy, I was hoping we could share some of your modeling work with our audience. Okay, if we tune into some of your model performing now?
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right, and then everyone, let's take a look at some of the modeling from DAISI Jo. Daisy, beautiful. Great to share your work with everyone. Thanks so much. You know,
Thank
I'm
you.
really, I'm really interested in learning about you now. Can you tell me where you're from and how did you get involved in the modeling industry?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up on the East Coast, New York, Connecticut,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of had an idea when I was really young that I wanted to model. My mom, uh, I'll tell you that I'll shorten the story, but my mom had taken out of the newspaper like a model search for kids, and and it was stuck to the refrigerator for months. She never took us, but
Huh.
that was the first introduction, and I was really curious after that. So a couple of years later, I went to go live with my grandmother in Connecticut, and the first thing out of my mouth is that I wanted to be a model. And my grandmother wanted me to go to like ballet school, and I was just not interested because I'm inherently kind of like a tomboy, but I wanted to model of all things. So she took me to New York and took me around to a lot of agencies, and eventually I got signed, and I started like going to castings. I would go to school in Connecticut. I would take the Metro North to New York, and I after school, and I would pound the pavement for
Yeah,
a couple of hours, and then I would take the train back to Connecticut, go to school the next day, repeat, you know,
that's pretty
all of that.
motivating,
So
you know?
I was highly like, now I look back, and I was highly motivated, like extremely motivated. I even like tried to I finished school early so that by the time I was a senior, I was like doing half days, like leaving at like after lunch or before
Right.
lunch, and then taking the Metro North to Manhattan and going to castings and call model calls and agency open calls like all day, and then going back to Connecticut and
You got to finish
going
up
to school.
school.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then when I finished at 7, like I finished school like right before I turned 18, and I was like packing up and ready to go to New York and pound the pavement. And then when I was in my 20s, I came to LA,
Okay.
and it's a very different world here. And there was a lot more film and television, but there is still like a what I would call cottage industry of modeling, and that has grown over the years. So I've been here for quite a while now.
Uh-huh.
And just built a career here. Like at that time, people were like, "Oh, you can't model in LA, really." But I was onto something. I was very early to the digital space and to e-commerce modeling, and Amazon and all the digitalization of like of content, and
Yes.
that basically opened a whole pool of world of opportunity here in Los Angeles. And yeah, so that's the long and short of it. I've been involved in every aspect of the modeling business since I've been here. I've owned an agency, I've owned a school, and I feel like you have to do all these roles to kind of become an expert in something and to master it. And now, yeah, I'm a full-time model. I run my own vertically integrated modeling digital business as well. So I do clients, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. I could go on and on. By the
No,
way, I
but
could talk your
Daisy,
ear
it's
off.
so, listen, I love hearing your story. It's amazing because, you know what I mean? You were so driven at a young age that this is what you wanted to do. And then,
Yeah.
and then you did it in like, some of the entertainment capitals, you know what I mean, of the world in both New York and Los Angeles. You
Hmm.
were an early adopter in digital and basically learn how to leverage the digital world in order to best present your art. And now you, as you say, you truly are an expert and can lead others through establishing themselves in having a modeling career. It's really inspiring. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. I mean, it's like, your story is really one that is powerful, I think, for others to recognize that, if you have a dream, you just keep working at it and pounding the pavement, as you say, and
Yeah.
don't give up and create into innovative ways to present your talent, and it's going to have a great impact. And that's certainly what is happening for you. So I really appreciate it. When you were wanting to do this, when grandma was supporting you, when your mom would first got you in the gig, it's great that you had that familial support. Were there other people in the industries that that you looked at and were like, wow, I like what they're doing, I want to do that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, personally, my paternal grandmother was like my big cheerleaders for a long time. She drove me to New York, and the grandparents is much older. It takes a lot of energy. So I became very independent early because, she's getting up in age and couldn't necessarily drive me back and forth. But at that time, I'm a kid of the 80s. So I'm a lot older than I look. And I'm a kid of the 80s. And so I grew up with Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Claudia Schiffer, Helena Christensen, and, Terry Mogul, like every supermodel that you can imagine.
Right.
Stephanie Seymour, Kate Moss. I could go on and on and on and on. Iman,
Yes.
Beverly Peel, Beverly Johnson. I can
Beverly
go
Johnson.
on
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
on and on with all the faces and all the names of the 80s and prior to that, that I grew up influenced by, and so that was a very big motivator and inspiration. Just opening the magazines, and when magazines were physical,
Right, when
and
they were the thing, when the print mediums were dominating, absolutely,
yes,
yeah.
and learning how to pose, how to walk, all that stuff, and I, had a lot of coaches throughout my career, so that was a big driver. And I think because they're so inaccessible, especially in that time, you didn't have Instagram where you could kind of see their daily life and get some more data points of what real life is like. I had a lot of model friends that were working models, that, living in Connecticut, it's kind of like, it's the bedroom community of New York City. So
True.
you get to see a lot of people that are in the entertainment but live in Connecticut at that time, Michael Bolton, for example, like a lot of people like that. And I learned that there were a lot of catalog and print models that lived in Connecticut and that weren't necessarily super famous, but they had careers for very long times.
Right.
And that a light went off because there was so much pressure being young and, being a minority or, other category that you had to do it now. You had to do it quickly. You had to like hit hard and you only have a limited window. And I really think that seeing other women that were like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, that were modeling for JCPenney, Lord and Taylor, Macy's, that had very long careers, was an indicator to me that I did not have to make it when I was 17 or 20,
Right.
that I could have a very lucrative and very long, consistent career. And I could also incorporate other things that I liked into my career. Like you didn't have to be one dimensional, you could go to college, you could have, like I have an MBA, you can have an MBA. I briefly thought about pursuing a PhD. I've got a lot of other skills, and I run other businesses. So I realized that, everything that everybody is attempting to do now in the social media world, it actually was always existed. It just existed in the physical world. And there were always role models out there doing that. You just had to look for them. And I just was very fortunate to, number one, I'm highly curious. I'm a highly curious person. And I've always been that way. I ask a lot of questions and I'm in everybody's business, and because I'm looking for data points of something. And I think at that age, I was just looking for data points about how to be in the world and how things are really done, because I didn't believe the narratives that we were given. And so I think the people that are like no name models, but they're in your home every day, they're in your catalogs, they're, you see them every day, they're the ones moving the clothing and then all the products were very and informative to me about the possibilities.
Right. Well, listen, Daisy, again, that's really inspiring.
I lost you for a second and I don't know why.
Okay, well, let's just wait till you come back and I'll edit whatever reason, that happened.
Yeah.
Is
Okay,
that back
I got
now? Okay, we'll just edit
Yes,
that
it's
little
back.
spot, okay? But anyway, Daisy,
Okay.
I really am also inspired about, the faith that you have in yourself, the belief you have not to believe other narratives, to actually create your own narrative. You know what I mean? To understand that there was a long tail in this industry and you were going to go and create one. And I
Yeah.
think you have really certainly done that. The other thing too is your youthful exuberance. Okay. When you say you're a child of the 80s, it's very hard to believe, but
I don't know why that keeps happening.
Yes. Okay. Well, hopefully when it gets back, I'll
No,
edit this part too. Let me know when it's stable. Okay.
there we go.
Is that stable again now? Could just be an internet connection thing. Okay,
Yeah, I
back?
just switched to speaker.
It's all right. I will just edit that part out. Okay.
Okay.
So
My
again,
a little different because of I have you on speakerphone now.
oh, okay, got it. Okay, well, listen, Daisy. Again, I really appreciate the fact that you have such strong faith in yourself, belief, and the fact that that you could create your story to have a long, enduring, and prosperous career in modeling and also model mentoring. So, tell me about your digital channels. Then, how can people get in touch with you or follow you?
Sure. Instagram is everything. So I'm obviously there, and it's Daisy Jo. It's a Daisy with an I and then J-O. And I'm also on YouTube. You can just put in Daisy Jo and I'll be there too. And on all basically anywhere there is a platform, I exist on it, and also on the Phoenix app. So you can find me there as well. Same handle, Daisy Jo. I try to keep it as consistent as possible.
Very clever marketing. Yes.
Yeah. Consistent as possible. My websites, it's either daisyparlor.com, Daisy Jo, and if you Google me, all of the websites and companies I have will probably come up. So there you go.
Beautiful. That's excellent. Well, listen, we are really going to follow your progress, and we really encourage others to connect with you via your social channels. And we're very much happy that you are part of the FENIX360 app family. Thanks so much for connecting with me today, Daisy Jo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This has been my pleasure. You take good care.
You too. Bye.